everyone, I'm Rachel Vane.
And I'm Katie Druck.
And we're here to talk to you guys today about progressive relaxation for the voice.
So what is progressive relaxation for the voice?
It's a technique for learning how to monitor and control the state of muscular tension. And it involves learning to monitor tension in each specific muscle group by deliberately inducing the tension in each group. So tension is then released with specific attention paid to the contrast between the difference between tensed muscles and relaxed muscles.
The pioneer and father of tension control and progressive relaxation is Edmund Jacobson, who created this in 1920s.
So if you guys have a client with someone exhibiting either diplophonia, hyperfunctional voice disorders, harsh vocal quality, an elevated pitch, or functional dysphonia, all of these clients can benefit from progressive relaxation for the voice. Additionally, if you have a client who stutters, that would be an excellent person to use this on because they exhibit a lot of tension typically. It can also be used pretty much on any and all voice clients who are exhibiting either a physiological or a psychological tension. So how often and when would you use progressive relaxation for the voice?
Well, initially you want to begin this with your client at the beginning of every session. You can modify this technique. So first you're going to start off using the full procedure, all steps, and so the client gets an idea of what full tension is and an idea of how to use it in everyday situations. Then later in their sessions, once you feel confident that they know how to use this without any of your help, you can implement a shorter version to begin your sessions and have them use this technique at home.
And additionally, if your client is exhibiting certain areas of focus, so they're coming in, let's say, complaining that particularly their shoulders that day, they feel they're holding a lot of tension in, or in their larynx, then you can focus on that particular part of the body rather than going through the whole progressive relaxation.
So is this technique just for adults or can children use it also?
That's a great question. You can use progressive relaxation for the voice for any client ranging from a child to a geriatric patient. There are going to be some differences, though, in your presentation of progressive relaxation for the voice. So, for example, if you have a younger client, you're going to want to simplify the language for them. So rather than explaining the anatomy and physiology, if you need to, of the tensed, and when you're tense, your larynx can get raised, and that might raise your pitch. For a child, you want to say things more like contrasting cooked versus uncooked spaghetti. So that they really get that the uncooked spaghetti is tense and easily can be broken, whereas cooked spaghetti is pliable and loose and relaxed. And additionally, you can do some role-playing exercises with your younger clients. So for example, you can turn them into a puppet and show them when they're relaxed how easy it is for their limbs and extremities to be manipulated. And you can also have them pretend to be a soldier, so stand in a really stiff, upright position for an extended period of time, and then once that position is released, have them describe to you, or at least recognize the difference of how their body feels when they're tense versus when they're relaxed. And also, so that was talking about children. Now, if you have an adult client, if they're cognitively intact, they're able to do some outside research on their own. So you're going to want to encourage your adult clients to do reading on stress management and posture and release. But you don't want to just tell them what to do. You want to provide them with these resources. Since we are the experts, we can give them the exact readings or articles that we want them to be looking at outside of therapy for additional information.
So is this technique just for adults or can children use it also?
That's a great question. You can use progressive relaxation for the voice for any client ranging from a child to a geriatric patient. There are going to be some differences, though, in your presentation of progressive relaxation for the voice. So, for example, if you have a younger client, you're going to want to simplify the language for them. So rather than explaining the anatomy and physiology, if you need to, of the tensed, and when you're tense, your larynx can get raised, and that might raise your pitch. For a child, you want to say things more like contrasting cooked versus uncooked spaghetti, so that they really get that the uncooked spaghetti is tense and easily can be broken, whereas cooked spaghetti is pliable and loose and relaxed. And additionally, you can do some role-playing exercises with your younger clients. So for example, you can turn them into a puppet and show them when they're relaxed how easy it is for their limbs and extremities to be manipulated. And you can also have them pretend to be a soldier, so stand in a really stiff, upright position for an extended period of time, and then once that position is released, have them describe to you, or at least recognize, the difference of how their body feels when they're tense versus when they're relaxed. And also, so that was talking about children. Now, if you have an adult client, if they're cognitively intact, they're able to do some outside research on their own. So you're going to want to encourage your adult clients to do reading on stress management and posture and release. But you don't want to just tell them what to do. You want to provide them with these resources. Since we are the experts, we can give them the exact readings or articles that we want them to be looking at outside of therapy for additional information. So there's a number of considerations that you as a clinician should keep in mind while performing progressive relaxation exercises on a client. So first off, you want to explain the purpose of the exercise to your client. You don't want to just tell them what to do. This is not just for progressive relaxation, but all exercises or techniques you're presenting to a client. You want to make sure they understand the rationale and the purpose behind what they're doing. It'll cause them to be much more motivated to actually do it, and it's just the right thing to do to make sure they understand why they're doing something, and so you're on the same page. Also, you want to frequently call attention to the contrast between the relaxed muscles and the tensed muscle. This is really, really important because it's kind of the whole focus of progressive relaxation, is just the contrasting of relaxation and tension. Additionally, for where you're performing the progressive relaxation exercise, you want the surroundings to be optimal, so minimizing distractions both visually and auditorily. And we understand that sometimes this can be difficult, especially if you're in a clinic setting, that you don't always get to choose which room you're in, but just as much as you can, minimize distractions. If it means turning the lights off or assuring that you're in a quiet room, it's very important. You want to provide a model for your client. So again, this is like explaining the rationale. You don't just tell them what to do, you show them what to do. And this assures that they're executing it correctly. And then also you want to make sure your client has good posture. So you want them to be sitting up straight with their feet flat on the ground. You want to make sure they're breathing properly. So the most optimal breathing pattern is diaphragmatic. So you want explain to them that their tummy should be coming out on an inhale and going in on an exhale. You also want appropriate proximity between yourself and your client. You don't want to be too close to them so that they're uncomfortable, but you also don't want to be exceedingly far so that they are straining to even hear you or see what you're saying. And along with that, like I said, you want to make sure it's a comfortable distance. So assure that your client is comfortable, that, you want them to have good posture, but you also want them to feel relaxed. So if they're slouching a little bit, this is a situation where it's okay to let that go. You want to speak in a slow and calm voice when you're actually going through the exercise. This is just going to aid in relaxing your client even further. After you're done with the exercise, you want to make sure that your client remains seated for a few moments, because you just got them hopefully in a very relaxed state. So if they stand up immediately, they might be a little dizzy or disoriented. So give them a second to, reawaken themselves and become more neutralized, get their body back in that homeostasis. And then just as a little disclaimer, we wanted to remind you guys to have your clients consult a doctor if they had a serious injury or they're experiencing spasms or back problems that could be exaggerated or exacerbated by the tensing of certain muscle groups.
Another important thing to remember is the danger of suggestion. You want to avoid telling your client that they're doing a good job during their exercise, because you don't want them to feel like relaxation is taking place even if it's not. So you want to realize that the perception of relaxation is not as important as the actual physical relaxation. So just really ensure that they're experiencing the relaxation for themselves. Just tell them the instructions and make sure that they're feeling the actual physical difference between relaxed and tense state.
All right, so in just a minute, Katie and I are going to give you guys a demonstration for the execution of the progressive relaxation exercise. Like we said, it's important to show and not just tell, so we want to really hit home with that, and so we're going to show and not just tell you guys. But before we do that, there's a couple guidelines we want you all to keep in mind when you're performing the exercise, both if you're acting as the clinician who's giving the instructions or the client that's receiving them. So when you're tensing a particular muscle group, we want you to do so vigorously, but without straining for 7 to 10 seconds. So that tense state should remain for at least 7 seconds. While this tension is occurring, we want you to concentrate, focusing on the buildup of tension in each particular muscle group. And then when you release, you do so abruptly and then relax. You want to allow the relaxation to develop for 15 to 20 seconds before moving on to the next muscle group. So just like we want to make sure you're feeling that tension for a good 7 to 10 seconds, we want you to ease into that relaxation for a solid 15 to 20 seconds to assure you're really understanding the contrast between tension and relaxation. Also, we want you to allow all other muscle groups to remain relaxed while you're working on a particular group. So if we're focusing on Katie's shoulders, let's say, her legs, feet, arms, everything else should remain relaxed. And we just wanted to tell you guys that when we were doing this as practice, this we felt was the most difficult part of the exercise because often even, if you're clenching your hands like this, I can feel my arm kind of clenching, my neck gets a little scrunched up, my shoulders come up. So just try your best to just focus on the particular group that's being explained at that moment. And then you want to tense and relax each muscle group only once. But if an area feels particularly tight on a client and they relay this to you, or you inquire and they admit to this being the case, you can tense and relax that particular group, say it's the shoulders, 2 to 3 times with 20-second intervals in between. And again, that's just to make sure they're getting fully relaxed and feeling the difference between the tension and the relaxation. So now we're going to jump right into a demonstration, and we think it would be helpful for those of you watching and planning on doing this with a client to do it along with us so you get the true feeling of what the exercise does, and that way you can do a better job of explaining it to a client since you've experienced it yourself. Okay, so we're now going to give you guys a demonstration of the complete progressive relaxation for the voice exercise. So this was adapted, like we said earlier, by the pioneer and father of tension control, who is Edmund Jakobson. So we just want you guys to keep in mind while performing this exercise that we are going to instruct you to keep that tension for a good 7 to 10 seconds so you really feel it. And then once we tell you to relax, just keep that relaxation going for 15 to 20 seconds. And try to only tense one muscle group at a time. Okay, and typically, most likely you would have the lights off to create a relaxing ambiance, but for the purposes of this presentation, we want to assure that you can see the demonstration. So we have the lights on, you see Katie's over there, and if you're questioning what I'm reading, like what that means or what it should look like, you can just reference Katie. But I would suggest and recommend that whomever's out there watching this do it along with the video. So just follow the sound of my voice. Okay. So before we start, Katie, I just want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And when you're ready, release it out of your mouth. And if you can just take one more deep breath for me, in and out. Okay, so I want you to start by clenching both of your fists. So note the tension that you feel in your hands and your forearms. Try to just clench those fists and keep everything else relaxed. And now relax. Feeling the release of that tension and letting your arms just fall down to the side. Now I want you to touch your shoulders with your fingers and raise your arms up, keeping those fingertips on your shoulders. Note the tension you feel building in your biceps and upper arms, and relax. Slowly letting that tension drift away. Let your arms fall down. And now I want you to shrug your shoulders up. Get them up as close to your ears as possible, raising them high and noting the tension that it's creating in your shoulders. Keep it tense and relax. Letting your shoulders drop back down to that neutral position. And don't forget to breathe in through your nose throughout this exercise and out your mouth. Now I want you to wrinkle your forehead, raising those eyebrows up and noting the tension near the eyes and in the forehead. And relax. Feeling the difference between the tension you just felt and now how relaxed your face and the rest of your body is. And now I want you to close your eyes tightly, shutting out all the light and really feeling that tension throughout your face. Keep tensing. And keeping your eyes lightly closed, I want you to relax. You don't have to keep your eyes closed throughout this exercise, but many people find it helpful to really get themselves in that relaxed state. So I want you to now press your tongue onto the roof of your mouth. Keep pushing it up, noting the tension in your mouth and your chin that's being created. And relax, letting your tongue fall back down to the floor of your mouth. And allowing your mouth and your chin to feel fully relaxed. Now I want you to press your teeth together tightly, like you're clenching down, noting the tension that you feel in your jaw and your mouth, and keep clenching. And relax. And really focus on the difference between that tense state you just experienced and your now full body relaxation. And I want you to push your head backward, but don't let it go all the way back. I don't want your neck to get strained. But you should be feeling some considerable tension in your neck and your upper back. And relax. Allowing that head to come back to the neutral position. And just another reminder to keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth at a steady, controlled pace. And now I want you to push your head forward, again, not all the way so that your neck gets strained, but you should bury your chin near your chest, noting the tension that's arising in your neck and your shoulders. and relax, bringing that head back up into the neutral position, slow and controlled movements throughout the exercise. And now I want you to arc your back, moving away from the back of the chair and pushing up with your arms backwards right behind you, just like that. Note the tension that you're now feeling in your back and your shoulders, and really push down with those arms so you're getting the full tensed feeling. And relax, slowly moving back to your neutral position, sliding back in the chair, and just allow yourself to relax. I want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And I'm going to have you hold it as long as you can before you release, while noting the tension that's coming in through your chest and your back. And when you release, let the breath out slowly through your mouth and then relax. Once you let that air out, continue to take nice controlled breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now I want you to take 2 deep breaths of air, hold, and exhale when you're ready. And as you're letting that air out, I want you to note your breathing becoming more slower and more relaxed. You should be feeling very relaxed at this point. And I want you now to suck in your stomach, trying to make it reach your spine. So keep sucking in until you feel you can't anymore. And note the feeling of tension that's coming up from your stomach. And relax, letting that air out slowly and noting your breathing becoming more and more regular. And I want you to tense the muscles in your stomach. So engage your core, get those abs going, noting the tension throughout your stomach and in your abdomen. And relax. I want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and blow it slowly out of your mouth. Letting that relaxed state take over you. Now I want you to tense your buttocks by raising yourself up off your chair. Your buttocks should remain on the seat, but it should be lifting the rest of your body up. And you should note the tension in your buttocks region. And now I want you to flex your thighs by straightening them out in front of you. You should feel your quads being engaged, noting the tension throughout your leg. And relax, allowing your feet to come back down to the floor. And now I want you to point your toes upward towards the sky, noting the tension in your feet and the calves of your legs. And relax, allowing your feet again to return to the floor flat. And now I want you to curl your toes downward as if you were burying them in the sand. So note the tension in the arches of your feet and relax. And just feel the difference in your feet from that tense state you were previously in to this relaxed one now. And at this point, you should be very relaxed. So I want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and release out through your mouth. And one more time, in through your nose and nice and slow out through your mouth. And when you feel ready, I want you to open your eyes while remaining seated for a minute or two and really focus on the contrast throughout the exercise between the relaxed and the tense state. So now that you guys have experienced the entire demonstration of the progressive relaxation for the voice exercise, I just wanted to call some things back into light that you may have noticed during my reading of the script for progressive relaxation. So I've said this before, but I can't reiterate it enough, how important it is to contrast between the tense state of the muscles versus what it feels like when they're in their relaxed state. So I, multiple times throughout the demo, brought this to your attention. It's just really important for your clients to know the difference between tension and relaxation. Also, you saw that we remained in the tense state for a good chunk of time, 7 to 10 seconds, and then went into that relaxed feeling and allowed that to stew for 15 to 20 seconds before moving on to the next muscle group.
It's important to remember that practice means progress. This takes a lot of time to actually really know the difference between feeling relaxed and tense. You may feel that, okay, I know the difference, but until you really focus on one area at a time and let your other muscles relax, it's going to take a couple sessions. So don't be discouraged. Just keep practicing. Make sure you're aware of how your muscles respond with the tension and how proficient they are when they are relaxed.
And just again, remember that if you're the one reading the script, to use a slow and calming voice, and you can adapt, as I did, different scripts that you want to put in there. So the one that I was reading, which I had mentioned was adapted by Edmund Jacobson, didn't have intermittent deep breaths throughout, but I thought it was important to assure that Katie here was really relaxed and to make sure she was still focusing on that proper breathing and the slow, smooth, controlled aspect of it. So feel free to implement your own additions to this, and with more clinical experience, you'll become more comfortable doing this with a client. And we are going to provide you guys with the script that you can read with a link so that you can access it if you want to use it with a client. So stay tuned for that. Allowing yourself to remain comfortably seated. Maybe we only have like 2 I said buttocks like 5 times. Okay. Okay, from here. And relax. Okay, so I said relax. So just do it from relax and then start from here for the next one. Okay, so shut your eyes.